And we are live. Good evening, everybody. It's your girl, Miss Iha. Trish, of course, coming to you tonight, live all the way down here from Mobile, Alabama, on our newest episode of Journey with Trish. I know you guys are excited. It's our Black Love episode. We got a guest sitting and waiting. I'm going to bring her on in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and give some disclaimers, though. I wanted to remind everybody that neither myself, Patricia Reed, aka Hija de Jimenez, health assistant out, or tonight's guests or any of our affiliates are here to give you any type of medical advice. If you are having a medical or psychiatric emergency, I will defer you to your nearest emergency room, urgent care, or call your primary care provider. Also wanted to give everyone a trigger warning tonight. While we are talking about Black love tonight, we do have to remember that sometimes before the love story, there is some trauma. And so tonight's guest is going to share some details of her life story that do include some domestic violence, some abuse, some sexual trauma as well. And so I wanted to let everybody know, just in case some of this may be triggering for you, this might not be the episode for you to watch. However, we would love for you to like, follow, and share so that we can touch as many people as we can tonight, knowing that transparency is how we reach out and help people, and that we're all given a purpose, and that our purposes are not meant for us, but to be able to bless other people. So I welcome to the show tonight, Miss Trisha Daly.
Hello, hello.
Good evening. How are you tonight?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am doing very, very well. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming tonight and agreeing to be on tonight's episode of Journey with Trish.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Very good. So, how are we going to start tonight, Miss Daly? I'm going to let you go ahead and kind of introduce yourself and just give them kind of we're not going to get into your story yet, but just kind of tell them who you are.
Well, I'm Trisha Daly. If you know me, you know family. Everybody's calling my phone. I'm like, hold on a second. I'm just gonna turn the volume off because this is crazy. Okay, there it is. Okay, so anyways, I'm from Daphne. All of my family's from Daphne, Fairhope, Mobile, all over the place. I now reside in Atlanta. I've been here for 9 years, so I love it. It's something different. I'm a country girl, but now I'm a city girl. So that's my thing now. So and I love it. I'm a college professor with my children, and I just love just being able to be free and just enjoy life. Now actually be happy. Let me say that. It's just I'm in a different phase in life, from experiences, from just so much, and to be in this happy space now, to be free mentally, physically, and spiritually. It just feels so good. And just, of course, everywhere you live, when you move, you take a part of it with you everywhere you go, and you tend to grow and you learn and you heal from it. So, and this is me.
And the crazy thing is, we live very close to each other when you were here, but short of maybe seeing you a few times in public, I don't really know you. And you just told me the other night that you were actually my brother's cousin.
First cousins.
Is it first cousins?
Yeah. Tony's mom and my mom my grandmother, they're sisters.
See, a lot of people don't know Tony and I. He's my brother, but we actually just met like 13, 14 years ago, even though he's my older brother. But that's another story for another show.
Yes.
So I know the only reason I really have contact with you is because I follow you on Facebook. And girl, when I tell you, you are hilarious. You have me rolling every single day. Every single day. And so I reached out to you just because I've kind of seen some of only because I've seen your reels and your TikToks, which are also hilarious. But there's something about your reels with your husband that and I didn't know he was your husband at the time, but they just kind of got my attention, and I try to be obedient. And so when I thought about having this Black Love episode, you were actually one of the first people that I reached out to do the show. Having said that, when I inboxed you, I had no idea that there was a story behind your story behind your story. Yeah, so I'm excited to have you share some of your trauma tonight that kind of led to your healing. So where should we start? Let's
Ooh.
start here. You told me that you described yourself as you said I did pretty good for being a motherless child. Talk to me about that.
So for me, growing up, a lot of times you have family that step in and take the role as your mother. Once you lose your mother or you lose your father, you lose certain things. And I was fortunate enough to be able to have that. But there were times where I longed for my mom, or I longed for my dad in certain situations, like, well, if this was possible, or if I had this person, would things be different, or would things, how would my life be if it makes sense to you? You always try to compare the two, and there's times when you want to have certain conversations, but when you come from certain backgrounds, particularly in the Black culture, you don't get that love. Like I have friends in other cultures where they may go out and have dinner or have lunch with their mom, or have a mother-daughter's day, things of that sort. You tend to long for that. But when you come from a background that does not necessarily have that and understand how important that is, those are things that you long for. And I always made myself a promise, once I have kids, those are going to be things that I would implement with my children. The voids that I've always wanted, I'll fill those voids by way of doing things and being a certain type of parent and a certain type of mother to my own children. So, and even now as an adult, there are times where I catch myself crying or in a funk to say, well, hey, I wish I could just pick up the phone and just call my mom. Like, I just need to, just that mother's love or that mother's touch to say, hey, it's going to be okay. You're going to get through this. As opposed to going into this shell and being so private, like, if I say something, would it be repeated? If I say something, would that be the joy of I knew or I know X, Y, and Z would happen? I try to avoid that. So I bottled so much in. And it's like, I try to be, for my daughter, I'm an open book with her. And like, she comes to me for everything. Like, we talk about everything because I know what it feels not to have that. So again, I feel those voids through my children.
Let me ask you. I mean, I'm sorry, there's a bit of a delay, but I don't know how, like, your parents. I don't know the story.
Okay, so my biological mother was killed in a car accident in 1987, which I was 7. Then I have 2 other siblings. And my brother and I were raised together, and then my sister was raised with another family member. So
Okay.
it was just one of those things where you don't really know where you fit in. And like with my sisters and brothers that I have now, I'm the baby of us. And then my brother's the baby when it comes to the boys. And like my big brothers and my big sisters, those are the ones like you look to. Like, it's things that I see now, in particular with one of my sisters. It's things that I look for with what I have now when it comes to love, that I pulled from her, or I pulled from different ones. I've been able to see what it actually looks like. So when I do get it, I know, what to expect.
Hmm.
And of course, now those expectations have been exceeded like drastically to where like, oh my goodness, is this really what it's supposed to feel like? Because again, we didn't get to see that. Most Black homes don't get to see where, mom may or may not have to work, or the flowers are being brought in, the love, the dinners, like like treated like you're supposed to be treated. So if you've never seen that, it's like, how do you know what to expect?
Hmm.
You only expect what you see. And that's pretty much where I was at that particular time.
So you were raised by some family members.
Yeah, I was raised by my aunt.
Okay.
That's who I call my mom.
Okay. From 7 years old.
Yes.
All right. And so then that pretty girl of yours who I met because she blessed us by being a speaker at our first sister girl tea,
Mhm.
Asiana, right?
Right.
Tell us about your first child.
Whew, girl, that's a journey. That's like my angel baby. With that one, it was one of those things. It was so crazy because I went through so much when I was pregnant with her. When I was pregnant, girl, I was a handful. But it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't that good either. Like, I had to run away from home my senior year. I was living with my supervisor. I lived there for almost 6 months. Then my dad called like, hey, it's time for you to go back home. It's time for you, like, no, you to prove your point, you're going back home. So I had her, but prior to that, I was actually going to get an abortion, and I'll never forget. I went to Mobile, and my dad's oldest sister, which that is like that she was my everything, and I get over there, and I actually still have the paperwork when I went to go. When I went over to, it was over off of what is it called, a Parent Choice or whatever it was. It was off of
Mhm.
Sage Avenue. Anyway, I get there, and as they were doing the ultrasound and doing all this other stuff, I'm crying, I'm praying, and that's one thing that my aunt instilled in me. My dad's oldest sister, now we call her Nanny Pat. And she would always instill that in me, and I called, I was like, TT and the auntie, I'm really, really scared, Nan, I don't know what to do. Girl, it wasn't 15 minutes. She pulled up. We're not going to do this. You laid down and made it. We're going to have this baby and you're going to be all right. She came and picked me up. I said, what am I supposed to do? And I cried and cried and cried. And I just hid it for as long as I could, because it was like something was just like, this is yours. Like, you don't have no choice. This is going to be your angel baby. And my job was to always protect that and do what I was supposed to do. So had her, and when I tell you, she had the most amazing godparents. Like, I don't know what I would not have done without her godparents. You may be familiar with Reverend Amy and Nikki.
Mhm.
So those are her godparents. And when I tell you, they didn't miss a beat. I was able to go to school, get my degrees. I was able and parted every weekend, girl. And I would drop Nikki off. I would drop Duke off on Fridays. I didn't see Duke till Monday or Tuesday. All I did was have her. That was their baby. So I was still able to live my life, but I was so blessed to be able to have that and have that support with them while I was just going through my mess to get to my message. And that was a plus for me. Like, and everything about her is like, she's my perfect imperfection. So my love is completely different. And each one of my children have a story. So my love for them is completely different. My goal was to raise the bar and to give her the things that I long for. Now, sometimes I do want to knock her through the wash and the dryer, but and I'm sure you understand. But for the most part, like, I couldn't imagine my life without her, because she was like my motivation. She pushed me, she drove me, even when I wanted to give up. Like, it was just, I knew that what I was doing and the life I was living, it was hell or jail, if it makes sense.
Mhm.
So me having her and rolling in school and just changing who I am with the support system that I had, that was my everything. So again, like, I support everything she does because she supported me. Like, she gave me life in the days I was lifeless. So that's my angel baby.
So let me piggyback off of that, because you said something. You said that your goal then came to protect Asiana or Duke. And I know that for me, having, been molested when I was younger and kind of feeling like I wasn't protected, my goal then, because I tell everybody, I got pregnant with my oldest daughter, Shemaya, on purpose in high school. And I got pregnant with her because I needed something to be able to protect. So let's go back and let's start talking about your trauma. And then I want you to tell me how that trauma kind of played over into parenting. Like, are you overprotect? Were you
Yeah, I'm
overprotect?
very overprotective. Even like it's crazy. And I said it was so bad. Like, of course, being molested and being sodomized and it's hard to go through that journey, and you got to look this person in the face every day. And it's like you're saying what's happening, but it's kind of like, well, you lying, or it's X, Y, and Z. And of course, the person is dead and gone to this day. Thank you, Jesus. If anybody feels some type of way, it is what it is. But to go through that journey, then to know and then to tell, and then nobody understands. And I would talk with different ones. Nobody understands like the hurt and what that feels like. So for years, I carried that with me, and I never forget. It happened. Ooh. Well, before I get to that part. So anyway, my daughter couldn't stay at nobody's. That she wasn't with her godparents. They'll tell you she wasn't with nobody else. My sisters would have her because that was their baby. She was everybody's baby. Like I said, I never had to worry, but I also was very peculiar about who she was around, who she was with. Like, she couldn't stay at friends' house. They called my house the trap house for kids, because I knew that with the kids coming there, I was going to protect them, because I know what that feels like. I was always like that safe haven all the time. So I was very protective. Every event she had, I was there. My baby could have been playing marbles. I was gonna be right there. You better thump that marble. Like, I was very, very, very protective of her. And I didn't miss an event. I was at everything, no matter what it was. I knew that when she looked out, I was gonna be there. She know that if anything happens, even with her being an adult now, she called that phone, mama gonna be there. My job was always to protect, because I know what it felt like to not be protected. So with that being said, years and years went by. So for years I carried that trauma. And what I mean by that was, in my first marriage, it was times where you look at things like, well, is this all I'm good for? Like, people can touch me a certain way. You couldn't do certain things to me. Like, I have been to counseling, I've been to therapy, which I don't share with everybody, but of course everybody would know now. But like, the things that was done, I had to go through a whole lot to get to this point. And it was times where if he would touch me a certain way, I would flinch, because that was what was being done to me. So I had to make myself comfortable, into a point where I got comfortable to be able to share that, say, hey, don't do this, because it triggers this for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I never forget, one of my relatives called me, and stuff was going around, but all kind of stuff like, it's embarrassing to the family, blase, blase. I'm like, cool. But I'm not worried about nobody. My only well-being is my mental health, and me. And I'm just saying, even if that was the case and that happened to you, didn't you have a baby afterwards? When I tell you, Trish, that tore me apart completely. Because for one, even as an adult, for you to call and tell me, even after that happened to you, you tell me, well, didn't you have a baby afterwards? I wouldn't care if I had 10 kids afterwards. I was still a child when it happened. So yeah, you tend to go on with life and get past certain things, but you still carry that with you. No, you could be, like I say, I'm 42 years old. I still go back to certain things. If you talk to me a certain way, don't curse at me, don't handle me a certain way, because that don't sit well with me. So when it comes to my kids, I try to treat them, because I know what that feels like. So again, I'm very protective, and I had to let go of some things. In order for me to let go, I had to be open to share that. So I created a blog called Daily Decisions of My Story. And this is one of, like, when I tell you I write, like, I'm writing the headings, and some of the headings is like eye catching, like, whoa, why would she list it? Why would she name it that? It's only because that's what I was dealing with. One was like time served. When I got to my last part of my blog, my
Mm-hmm.
time was served, because I released this layer of skin off of me. That layer is now gone. So the more I talk about it, the more free I become.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm an open book, but I said the more I start to write and blog and share, that again, that's my story. People may not like it, they may disagree with it, but I wouldn't be who I am without that story. So again, I'm very protective, and I'm just like that mother hen
Mm-hmm.
with both of them.
And like I said, it's amazing that I was drawn to you, because I did not know your story. And I tell everyone, when I make my blogs in the morning times, I always feel like I'm offending somebody, and sometimes I overthink. But when I tell you, I am always talking to myself. With every blog that I make, it is something that I either went through or just thought of or going through. And so it is definitely a purpose. It's an assignment to be transparent. So I applaud you for doing the work, because so many people do need to address their trauma. You have to do the work. You have to talk about it. And again, being able to share your story helps you heal, and it helps other people heal as well.
Yeah, it takes a lot, but even as I blog, you would believe, like, the students, the clients I would come in, like, I would have never known. Like, I have pictures that I share with my biological mom, like, in prison, my dad on drugs. It's a lot, excuse me, that people don't understand, that having to see as a child, like, that they think, oh, they just a child. They don't understand. Kids listen. Like, they listen, they know, they understand. So again, as I continue to write and share, like, I'm just going to make it open to the public. And that's what I did. And one of my second blogs was access granted. And that's when I gave full access to everything. I did another podcast about 2 years ago, and it just went crazy, only because I was so open to share. Like, I mean, people gonna be in their feelings. But again, it's my story. This is how I feel. This is what I had to go through. And again, I've been through therapy. I've been through counseling. I've taken the proper measures to get to this point mentally.
And
So
that helps you deal with it. It helps you navigate with it,
absolutely.
but it never goes away. Like there can always be something that can trigger a memory. There are always going to be some things that you may avoid so you don't remember it. And I think a lot of people need to understand that, that is trauma, that is post-traumatic stress disorder. And so it doesn't just, we learn to, like I said, to cope with it and live with
That's
it.
it. You learn to deal with it.
Mhm. So good for you. Um, Now, you talked about your first marriage. So tell me a little bit more about how your childhood played over into your first marriage. And you talked about some abuse that you dealt with in your marriage.
It was more so of a one like no physical abuse. Let me make that clear. It was
Okay.
no physical abuse. It was more like a mental of a controlling type thing. But you go in thinking, okay, I'm gonna give my all. I'm supposed to do X, Y, and Z, cook, clean, do whatever I'm supposed to do. And then you want to, is this enough? Like, am I doing enough? You do all that, and then things still happen. You ask yourself, well, if I'm doing all this and that didn't stop anything, okay, what's next? And I had that mentality, like, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. We're true be able to do this. Because I've done everything I'm supposed to do. Like, where in the way I was raised in my household, like my mom, she cooked. She didn't play about us being like nasty or dirty. We cooked, we cleaned, we did what we thought we were supposed to do. And when you go in and you give all that and it still doesn't stop things from happening, it's like, well, dang, what's the purpose? And that was pretty much my mindset. So again, carrying certain things, like handling things a certain way, I was still growing, I was still young, and just going through the motions. Like it was just learn as you go process. So in that process of learning as I grow, I ended up divorcing 2008. Then I had my son, and
And how,
then
how long were you married that first time?
I was 5, 6, 7, 3.5 years. Yeah,
Okay.
3.5 years. So and went through a whole spiel with that. And I was like, you know what? This it is what it is. I got done, did what I had to do, got another degree. Like I'm always keep two jobs. I'm always be in school. Like was nothing gonna stop me because where I come from was kind of you already counted out. You have a house full of babies, you ain't gonna be this, you're not gonna be that. And I had a point to prove. Like when you go, I got 6 degrees. Like so I had a point to prove, and it's like I did all of that, like I did it to prove a point, but now it's okay. I have a job in my field, but now I actually had to grow and learn to love what I do in the midst of that. So I had Tiger, and I was getting my it was my master one of my first master's degree. Went through that phase, had Tiger, and that was a whole nother situation. Did that, and I ended up remarrying. Okay, you want to remarry to give your kids a better life, to show them something different. You do all that, but you realize you're still not happy. You're still going through certain things. You're at this point. I was complacent. And in the midst of being complacent, I went through this whole complete, like it was just a whole mental challenge, from depression, from anxiety. When I tell you I had like medications out the woodwork just to stay abreast, like because I was so, oh, my battery's run dead. I was so unhappy, I was miserable, and like the only peace I had was my kids. Like that's who gave me peace, that's who brought me joy no matter what was going on. So I always made sure that no matter what storm I went to, I never allowed my kids to get wet.
Oh, I like that. No matter what storm I went through, I never allowed my kids to get wet. I'm gonna have to write that down.
Yes, ma'am. And anybody know to tell you, baby, she played about a lot of things. Those kids ain't one of them. My kids are not one.
So it sounds like you poured yourself into, like, maybe early on you didn't really deal with your trauma. You kind of poured everything, all of your energy, good energy, bad energy, negative energy, positive energy, into your children and into education, because that's a lot. That's a lot of degrees. What drove you to get? And you're in school right now, you told me.
Yeah. So the thing that drove me to that was the fact that nobody thought I could do it. So it's kind of like you had this point to prove you're not gonna be able to do it. And that was my biggest thing. And my goal was to always do it and just give it my best. And I knew with my background, with what I've dealt with, sociology, psychology, I'm able to share, and I'm very transparent with my students. But again, I also too with getting all of this, it was just like I just want to just do it. Like I was that type of person. I'm just gonna find something to do, and then that's what I did. Then I went and got my life coaching certification, my counseling certification, and it was just I get greedy when it comes to stuff like that. Like, okay, I can make this work, I can do this, I can do that. You give me an opportunity, like literally, I'm gonna jump on it. Like, oh, Trish, I found out about this gig. Oh, you really? I'm about to go check this out and see what's going on with it. That's me.
I should.
That's always me. I am a go-getter. Like I'm what they call like a mom hustler for real.
Yeah, you should have brought some of those. I know you got some of those purses laying around there somewhere. You can show it. Those jackets. I gotta order me one.
Girl, listen. The thing is, I don't even so you're talking about so a rapper. So for me, like I do that. It's therapeutic for me, to be honest. The reason I really got into doing my crafting, I was at a I hit I was at a bad place mentally, and I love to read. I am a binge reader, and when I tell you I like to read, but I would craft to be able to get me out of the situation I was in. So if my mind was focused on this, I was okay. Then I learned to love it. And when I learned to love it, I was like, okay. And then people started just ordering stuff. I don't even have to advertise on social media anymore. I post stuff every now and then. But I was like, hey, do you still make this? Do you still do this? And I do so much, and my hands is tied into so much stuff. I don't have the time, but if I had the time to be able to just pour all of me into my craft, girl, I know it'd be crazy. But right now, I just do so much. Like I'm constantly all over the place. I'm just a busybody.
Now you told me that okay, so you were married 2 times.
Uh-huh.
Talked about the first marriage. I
Mm-hmm.
talked about the second marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And you said at your lowest is when you met your
Yes, I met Sherman. And when I tell you, Trish, it was how can I it's a long story, but I can make it short. So with
no,
this
don't
one
make it
here.
short. This is the good. This is the happy part. So don't make it short.
Okay, definitely the happy part. So with this one here, after carrying all that baggage and like all that trauma, when it was, I'm gonna tell you what, it was so bad. Like when he actually we met, he was one of my clients with my life coach. Like, well, how do you deal with X, Y, and Z? Like I'm trying my best to get through this. He was battling something, I was battling something, and just going through. And people still have their issues, and they did this, I heard the girl, I hear stuff about me that I ain't never. I'm like, and I did what else? Keep talking to me, tell me what else I did. Like I'm clueless. And it's so bad because I'm a private person, and I have people that I share certain things because you can't trust everybody. And I'm just that type of person. And he met me at my lowest, and I tell you, Trish, it was to the point I attempted to commit suicide. I had already written my kids letters. I wrote Duke a letter, wrote make sure you take care of your brother. I had one for Tiger because it was at that point to where I feel like, how can I say it? It was for me, it was like I couldn't, how can I put it? It was the pain of living was greater than my fear of death, if it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, I just rather die than keep living or going through this. And that's where I was. And after talking and communicating with him, he's like, you going through what? Like, you serious? Like, I got X, Y, Z, I'm going through this or whatever. He was already stuff was in motion. And I was like, what? Nobody knew nothing.
Hold on one second. I want you to tell everybody what can you kind of explain what that feeling was? You said the pain of dealing with this. It doesn't have to be like you get into specifics of what was going on in your life, but what was that like? Can you even describe what that feeling was? That if I
I
have
was,
to live like
I
this, I
was,
want to be here.
yes, so for me, I was tired. I was tired. I was hopeless. I had mentally checked out. I didn't care about nothing. And it was so bad that I didn't think about my kids. I never forget one day I called one of my older sisters, and I just told her that just let you know this is what's going on just in case. I always let her know, but she's just like you. She feels stuff like I know X, Y, and Z going on. She's just with me and my siblings, we can get into it, we can bump heads, but let us call one another, see what's gonna happen. Like no matter what it is, that's how we then this is the thing, like no matter what happened or what would have transpired, I knew I could call and I was going to be okay. So I had already called her like a while, maybe a month or so prior to that. And at that time, I was still in the midst of writing letters, going to work, didn't tell nobody nothing. I was just tired, and I had put my pistol. So I went to a couple of Duke's games, and I never forget. I'm not a crybaby, but I do like it get there sometimes. But anyway, and I carry it in my car and I keep it in the back and you ride and you think, okay, if I do this, I wouldn't have to worry. So I was already preparing my kids to be set up like they'll be okay if, if I just go ahead and if I just go ahead and just leave because I'm tired. But what you don't think is when you're going through certain things, it's like I never knew that, my daughter was paying attention or Tiger would hear certain things. I just try to keep things out of their rear view if I could help it. And I was just tired. So I called her. I was like, hey, I may need to come over, whatever. And the night I actually left, I never forget. I called her. She said, your room is already ready. I was just ready for you to call me to tell me you coming. That I can't even explain the feeling that was for me to be able to know that I had that and I was going to be okay and I was in a safe place. But not only did she make sure I was good, she made sure my son was good, my daughter was good. Because if anybody knows my sister, that's her baby. Again, I just had him. Duke had Nikki and Tim, Saka got her. That's her baby. So again, it was as comfortable as possible. But to just get to that point, like you get tired and you just want to just check out. You don't think about nobody, like you don't think about nothing. I was just tired.
And I
And
want people
yeah,
to hear that because in the beginning, what you said was, I had these children because, especially, baby girl, you had her because you wanted to protect her. And she was your everything and you loved her so much. So to get to the point to where, yes, I love her that much, but I still think it's too much for me to handle. She'd be better off without me. I can't do this anymore. That's a lot to be there. And I know that um those kind of emotions are overwhelming and a lot of people just do not understand and cannot fathom being there. But I'm glad that you had somebody that
girl,
picked up the phone just when you needed them to.
when I tell you, like, didn't miss a beat, like, was right there, like that song, Catch Me If You Catch Me If I Fall. For when I tell you, like, I haven't missed a beat no matter what I went through. And he'll tell you, like, I don't even know how he deal with me because I wouldn't deal with me. I'm a handful. But when I tell you love the hell, I never have to question, am I going to be okay? I never have to question, am I safe? I never have to say, I need. I never have to say, this is what's going on. If I got an issue, literally, hey, go call this number. You going to be okay. I got this. Like, I never have to question that. But to be able to experience somebody to not tear you down mentally, somebody to not be able to tell you, like, hey, well, I don't have to hide nothing. If that's a better way to put it, like it was bad. Like, and of course you don't want to confine in people and you don't want to share things with people. You want to just make everything look perfect. Like I never missed. I'm on social media acting a fool. Like I'm posting and crying. Like I'm posting and just being me. And that's just my personality. But when you're dealing with things like you carrying all this weight, all this hurt, all this pain inside, and you can't be you can't express yourself, you feel like a dependent all the time. Like you have no identity. You have certain things that you long for that you'll never get. And let me make this very clear. I'm not perfect by no means. I've done my things. I've done my wrong in all of this. But to me, I done what I had to do to make sure I was okay, to make sure that my children were okay because I didn't feel secure. I didn't feel certain things to where now in this new journey and in this new in this new chapter of my life, like I can say for the first time in my life, I ever felt free. I can, and people come and tell him, well, I heard she did this, she did. He'll tell you, I did X, I did Y, I did Z. And guess what? I do it again if I had to feed me, my kids, and him too, if need be. But again, nobody could tell my story like me. But I was very transparent, and he accepted me for who I was and what I was. So again, you get to see a whole nother side of me that people don't get to see. I'm like 5 people in one person. That's why I don't know how you deal with me because I'm a lot. And it's Lord, he don't drink, he don't even curse. I'm like, boy, look at here. God showed out. He don't drink, he don't curse. I'm like, Lord have mercy. Fix
That
it. I just pray for
is
him.
it's wonderful to be able to have somebody that can come in and truly be your other half, your support system. Somebody, like you said, that you can be transparent with, that I can hurt with, that I can cry with, that I can laugh with. And I just wanted everybody to know that it's like, even after a lifetime of pain and trauma and grief, that love can definitely still happen. I tell everybody, my husband and I, it, like you'll see the flyers, has been we've been married 24 years, but there was also a divorce in the midst of that 24 years. Now we ain't never really stopped messing around and had a
Yeah,
whole
I've been there, and that's what I said. I've been there, and I understand. Like I guess I took all the time. I get it. And I don't judge nobody because
Mhm.
I've been there and I understand. I've been her. I've been the other. I've been all of it. So again, I understand completely like what it feels like to be in that space, but to be able to be loved unconditionally, to be able to allow my kids to see how I'm treated, how I'm loved, like I can't even. I had to ask myself: Is this okay? Is this man real? Is some where's the boogeyman going? But he'll tell you all the time, like when the boogeyman gonna pop out? Something's just not adding up. Something not adding up here. Like it just the way it all just happened. It was just like, do I really deserve this? Am I worthy of this? And I didn't have to be humiliated or be embarrassed to share certain things. And then like I don't have to put on the front. If I'm having a bad day, it's just I'm having a bad day, and that's just that. And he's like, okay, this is not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be this way. This is love. This is life. I'm like, man, miss me with that. Because prior to him, he'll tell you, I was like, look here, I was about to be for the streets. I wasn't giving nobody no chance. I was gonna be the female future. Do you hear me? I was like, forget all this. And then he came in out of nowhere, like, yes, what you thought. Got him, because that's exactly what he did. Like when I tell you, I was like, man, I ain't got time for this love stuff. I'm over it. It's overrated. And he showed me something completely different. Like I can't even explain it. And it's just different.
Now tell me about the, like, have you always been a comedian, or is that something, like, is that a coping mechanism? Tell me about this joy that you have.
It's to be honest, I've just always been me. Like I'm always gonna cut up and clown wherever I go. And I tell people up front, look, don't judge me. What you about to see, what you about to experience. This is be prepared. Like this is me every day, all day. People like, was she really like that on social media? Yes, this is me. In the classroom, it's me. You see the emails I get. I'm like, no, it's still the same thing. Like, don't play with me. I said, my family call me Keisha. They know what time it is. You have many black Keishas you know that don't play the radio. And they just fall out laughing. But for the most part, at one point it was a thing to be able to help me deal with life. And I make jokes of everything, everybody. Like that's me. You're gonna get these jokes. I'm janking you, like that's my personality. So when I hear stuff, people say things like, was she bougie or she this way? To be honest, I really water myself down a lot. And he is always saying, like, no, Trish, be you. Stop trying to hide certain things. Don't let them see. If you want to put on certain things, let them do. If you want to post certain things about you, if you out shopping or post it, let them see. They gonna say what they want to say. And it's so hard. Like I'm doing a little bit better with that. But he's like, no. If they watch and they want to see, give them something to look at. That's his personality. But I'm always like, nah. And then of course you get these phone calls and people want to know stuff. Like for instance, well, I can't ask. Let me get Trish to call and ask her. Maybe she'll tell her because they friends. Like, no, I know why you called. You had been calling talking about a wellness check. I'm just calling to see how you doing. Or well, how the kids doing? Like, I'm like, girl, what you want? Who sent you? That's always like, what you trying? What you fishing for? Because again, I post what I want people to see, but for the most part, I don't like people. I don't like to be in the light like that. I like to cut up and have a good time with people. Like, oh, you hadn't posted in a couple of days. Like, this is how I get through my day. I get my laughter through you. And I'm having a bad day, I click on your page. But that's just me every day. Like, I cut up all the time. And it's to the point where now he's like, he's so quiet. I'm like, no, he really not quiet. He just cut up when we are together because it's like we just balance each other out. And it feels so good.
Balance is very, very important. I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you, and that you were able to find love after all that you've been through. And I appreciate you coming on here tonight. Everybody out there in social media world, again, I just wanted y'all to know. I wanted you to be able to see that like life happens. I'm a firm believer that all the trauma that we go through is still a part of the purpose that's coming.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was nominated for Teacher of the Year. That was one of the things, my messages in my speech was my messy life became my message. Being a victim to like molestation, sodomized, that became victory. And all those tests and everything I went through are now my testimony. So again, I'm so open to share stuff. I'm an open book. So when you hear people say certain things, I'm like, you really don't know me. Like, you know of me. And I know a lot of people. A lot of people know me, but I don't really rock with a lot of people like that. I just know a whole lot of people. Because of course I used to be everywhere. I party 8 days a week. And it's only 7 days in a week. Like if we shutting the club down, we doing, and I was always everywhere. But now I was just kind of like, I'm a little bit more settled. I'm glad I did all of that stuff at a younger age, at a different phase in my life, to where now I'm at this phase where I get to actually enjoy life and just be happy. Like, and my things, I don't look for stuff. All I want to do is just live every day and just be happy. For the people that are really, really close to me, they'll tell you they've been through some of these journeys and experienced some things with me. And it's just like, wow. Even with living here, having close friends, people you can trust and go to, like, what do you do? Because you can't tell everybody. So again, like I said, I was just blessed through all of this. Like, and one of my sisters called me Sunday night. Well, yeah, Sunday night. We talked for like an hour and a half. And she said, she said, to see you this happy makes me, both of my sisters, but this is the other one. I was shocking that she even said it. Now, my other sister, we talk all the time, and she tell me all the time, it just feels so good to see you happy, and to just see her happy in a happy place, knowing where we all come from, it feels good. And to see the way that she was being loved, it was like, dang, I bet that feels good. And it's like, boom, it fell right here. But when my other sister called me Sunday night, I said, we talked for a long time. She was like, Keish, it feels so good to see you happy. And she cussed me out. If you know my older sister, Kim, you gonna know Kim gonna, whatever come up, come out. And when I married the second time, she goes, nah, I love you and them kids, but I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know what the hell you go back for the second time anyway. Like you said, when you still dealing and still got stuff going on, you try to go back to fix it, to make things work or to make things be, but it was already gone. Like it was just done. And for her to tell me, like, it just feels good to see you happy. And I hear people all the time talk about, they see you post and they see the stuff that he posts. Like, it makes me feel good to know that you're okay, that my niece and my nephew's okay. Both of my sisters are the same way in that aspect. And it's just like, dang, it feels so good. And then to see my youngest, so she's just always like, it just, y'all give me something to look forward to. You got to know her. She's a different caliber. She's a different crazy. She ain't my crazy. She for real crazy. But to see that, but to allow them to be able to see it. And another thing, for me, it felt good when Duke made a comment. I saw it. He made a post about a month ago. Duke said, it feels so good to see my mommy being loved. It never once dawned on me that she was actually looking for that to actually take place. And she said, Mama, I'm so happy that you are loved now. And it just brings her so much joy. When I tell you, to see the peace and the happiness in her eyes, like that does everything for me. Like it was everything for me. It was priceless.
I always say nothing touches, like my mama could have told me she was proud of me. My daddy could have told me, but nothing touches me like when my children say, Mom, I'm so proud of you. Mom,
Absolutely.
I'm so happy for you. So, and maybe it's different for you, but there have been a lot of times in my life where I thought I was happy, but over the past like 2 years, when I've actually been able to actually face and deal with my trauma and kind of
Absolutely.
work through it, like a lot of times you just not being happy becomes so normal, you don't even realize that there is a such thing as,
Man, when I tell you, it's so crazy that you say that, because and he would tell you, like, I'm so numb when it comes to being emotional and in my emotions. I'm so numb because you get used to dealing with life a certain way where nothing really bothers you. And like you say, not being happy, you just become numb. It's like, okay, it's whatever it is. And for me to be able to experience, it's like I'm slowly coming out of the shell, like it's, and he pushed, like, no, this is what it's gonna be. Let me show you this. I may come home and he may have flowers here, or it just may be the small things. He may send me a message or something really, really just to make me smile. I can look at my phone. If he called my phone, I immediately just start smiling. I ain't never done that. I ain't never talked on no phone all day throughout the day. Like, I'm like, man, I gotta call. Yes, hello. Now it's like, what you doing? You busy? Like, I'm like, man, something wrong with me. This like high school love. Like, you don't even know what this is like. This what it's supposed to, what I've been missing all this time is what this is really supposed to be like. And that's literally what it feels like. But for so long, I was so numb. Like, I was like, it's overrated. There ain't no such thing as nobody being your best friend and you doing whatever with your mate where you ain't got to have nobody else with you to be able to have peace and to be able to be happy and have other folks around. To where now it's just he and I, and we had a time in our life when we go everywhere. When I say everywhere, we always going somewhere. We're always doing stuff, even if it's just sitting here. Like it was, what was it? It to where now, like he come in, like the small thing, like following my feet when he come in, just rubbing my feet. Like it's just like this. And the thing is, I don't have to ask. It's just naturally done. I'm like, nah, this man ain't real. Like, stop playing. This ain't real. Like some word, some this just don't. They don't make them like this. But to be able to experience that after being numb for so long, you just be like, you heartless. And I would get told that a lot of Trish, you just so heartless, you don't care about nothing. And I can say I'm a little stern in a lot of areas because I have a lot of trust issues. Like I'd be like, nah, we good. I look for the bad in everything. And that's one thing I have to break myself out of is looking for the bad in everything, expecting the worst, because it's never knew what the deal was. And it's just, it's a lot to be able to take in and trying to suck it in. Like, this is like so real. And this is me. This is my time. This is my life. This is everything. Like I can't even explain it to you. Even if I'm pissed off at him, he gonna find a way. Like, he's still gonna show up. And I don't have no reason. I'm moody like that. And he don't do nothing. He just be like, what I did now? I'm just having a day. I'm just saying, like now for years, like I said, I was taking depression pills, anxiety pills. I'm talking about Lexapro, serotonin, hydroxychloroquine. I was taking everything. When I tell you it was that bad for me to where when I tell you now, I don't have to do nothing. No health, no, none of that. Like it was just getting peace alone. Like,
and so that's important for me to talk about everybody out there. I know when you are going, like if you go to your medical provider or even to a psychiatrist, I'm always going to tell my patients that I don't want to give you a medication that's just going to cover up.
That's what it did.
Going through. Yes, a lot of my patients do need medication and I put a majority on them. But while you're on that medication, I want you to actually be getting some type of therapy or counseling or life coaching, because you got to do your work and, kind of navigate through, learn how to regulate your emotions.
And and like I said, there was times where I would take that stuff and I would feel like a zombie. But that's how I maintain my mental. Like, and then when you're going through that and you feel like you just by yourself, and it was times where I would let Tiger go so he wouldn't have to be there because I know what I was feeling. I can only imagine as a child what it could feel like to them. So I was allowing him to go with his friends, go do whatever, just to keep him where he wouldn't have to be in this bubble with me. Because this was, like I said, this was my storm.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't going to happen. So as I was taking on the medications, I was going through all the counseling and I was going through the therapy, dealing with stuff. And one of the tools that I carried with me was the ability to be able to write stuff down. So in the midst of me writing everything down, letting things go, I said, well, you know what? Let me just share this. And that's how I started doing my blogs and started just really getting into my life coaching and getting clients and helping them. I was like, I'm helping them, but I'm still needing this over. Something is not adding up over here. And when I realized that I just had to free myself of everything. And when I walked away and I was good. People kept saying, how you don't grieve, you don't deal with stuff. I was already done. I was already mentally, I had already checked out. So when I left that point of that chapter in my life, I did it. I was free and it felt so good to be there. And I was able to move forward. I tell you, I wish everybody the best. I don't wish bad on nobody. I want everybody to experience this type of love, to be able to experience, to be free. And it was times where it's upstairs, but I would meditate, like my music on, like, and I'm praying constantly. Like this can't be what it's going to be. This can't be life. That's why I said at that point, I was like, I'd rather just be dead than deal with this. And that's literally where I was. because again, you don't understand it. So you're going through the drugs are there, but once they die down, you're back at square one again. And that's what people don't understand. You'll take it, you'll take the stuff, but you still gonna be in that same place if you're not getting what you need to relieve this stuff and to let it out. And that's what I did. So again, as I write, I went from having my story to you are braver than you believe. So I have this chapter of my life. Now I have this chapter of my life. So again, you have to be open to share. And of course, people are gonna talk about you. I'm like, yeah, they talked about Jesus. What make you think you exempt? People gonna say what they want to say. So I had to learn to let that be what it's gonna be. And in the midst of that, understanding that it's not what people call you, is what your answer to. So again, you can say what you want to say, but I know me. I got me. As long as I'm okay, my kids are okay, I'm good. And one thing about it, he gonna make sure we okay in every capacity. And to be able to know that I have that, to be able to experience that, it just gave me a new outlook at life. I appreciate things differently. I see things differently. To be able to love, I'm like, man, I'm not with that mushy stuff. I don't do this. Now I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I catch myself grabbing his hand, like kissing on me, or I'm kissing on him. Like I'm always, and I'm not a touchy-feely person, but that's something that he brought out of me, because the way that he loves, the way that he care. I don't care about the material things. He'll out work. He'll tell you, get mad, Trish, I'll pay you to take off today. Friday, he was like, babe, don't go to work. I'll pay you. I'm committed. I gotta go. My clients, I'm there. My clients waiting on me. He's like, no, I'll pay you. I'm like, no, I gotta go. That's just how he is with me and about me. I don't never have to worry or second guess or question anything. That's why I say now I just live. I was like, whatever happens, happens. I'm happy.
And so, what I would want everybody to take tonight is that yes, true love really does exist. As does chivalry. There's still some really good men. I do think that sometimes though we take our past trauma into our new relationships, and so you do have to work on yourself. You got to do your self work. You gotta face your trauma, and journaling absolutely is, my blogging is a part of my journaling. So I would encourage everybody, go out and buy a journal. It don't have to be nothing fancy. You can go get one of those little
Literally,
65
like
cent composition books to write in, but do some journaling, do some writing, therapy, counseling. If you have somebody that you can trust, that you can talk to, reach out and talk. You'd be surprised. When I there is always somebody who has a story that is even worse than yours. You guys, you're not alone out there. Um, in the Your trauma did, let's start there. Your trauma did happen, and we don't want you to allow anybody to make you think that your trauma was not real. And it may
absolutely.
have controlled your life before, but it doesn't have to continue to control. Your past does not dictate your future. But like I always say, your desire to change has to be greater than your desire to stay the same. So if you're going to change, you're going to have to do some work. But happiness, it really, really, really does exist. Sometimes I know I was talking to Eunice the other day about, when I tell you, I got so much just chaos, it seems like, going on in my life. And sometimes I'm so lax about it. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm too chill, because I feel like I should be getting anxious, but I'm not. I'm not worried at all. Like elders used to say, I'm yet holding on. And so that's what I want everybody to know, is that you can get to a place to where you just learn how to better deal. I'll tell y'all, I went and got my nails done last week. I went and got my toes done last week. And I was in a hurry when I was leaving to get my toes done. And I did not look at my little receipt. And then I had got an alert saying that my checking account was negative. The people at the nail shop had charged my card $4,800 for some toes.
Ooh.
And it was about 7:00 at night. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to bed. Because I knew that, I got to get this fixed, because I got some, it's the first of the month, and where's my money? But there was still nothing that I could do that night at 7:00. Now, when I got up the next morning to go to the nail shop 2-3 years ago, I would have been up in the nail shop. I'd have been trying to tear down the nail shop. I'd have been demanding, are you going to write me a check or are you going to give me cash? We going to the bank. And I would have did all that. They would have called the police and I still wouldn't have had no money until they cleared it up. And so we just learned how to deal with things, how to cope with things and keep a level civil head if you learn how to regulate your emotions. So that's what I want everybody to take with you tonight. Love still exists.
Yes.
I believe there is somebody out there for everybody, but you do have to you got to open your heart. You got to, like you said, you got to learn to live, to actually be happy and actually to be free. And I believe that can happen for y'all. Don't you think that can happen for everybody?
It could happen. Not even just that, too. When you be free and you allow that, and that's something I've learned in my new chapter is that my response to certain things may become something from he's like, hey, Trish, don't make me pay for something else because of the way that I may respond. And I don't even realize it sometimes. I'm like, yo, Trish, you was really tripping. You didn't have to do that. Or I'd say that. I respond like that. But I had to realize that is not this. So again, you deal with your past, you get to that point, you let it go. You have to let everything go. And that's one of the things I struggle with. Like, okay, you know what? Different situation. We got to handle this different. We got to move different. You got to be, like I said, you got to be willing to let it go. You got to be open and want to be able to accept everything that comes with that. And like I said, for years, I didn't do that. Excuse me. I wasn't willing to accept. I wasn't willing to let go out of fear, out of being insecurities, out of just what ifs.
Right, because you become so used to being tense and angry.
Exactly.
That has now become your defense mechanism. And so now letting that go, it almost makes you feel like you're too vulnerable, kind of like what I just talked about. Go ahead. I was going to say something, but I forgot. Totally slipped my mind. Totally slipped my mind. But I don't know. I had a very, very
you just had that's his brain, but we all have those. But yeah, see, just being vulnerable and just learning to love again. And it may take forever. It may not take. It didn't take me no time. When I tell you, that was literally just to boom. It was right there. Wait, like I said, the plans that I had, God was like, nah, sis, I got something better for you. Because literally, like he'll tell you, not tell him every day. Like that's just. And of course, people have their own scenarios or the what this or what that. They don't really know. And I just let you think whatever you want to think. But again, I had to allow myself to be free. And when I talk to people now, it's kind of like, that it's really a thing. You have to be open and willing to accept it, but you have to let your past go and release that. So like I said, getting a journal, writing it down, having a therapist, just, it's always good to just have one just to talk to anyway. Having somebody you can confide in, whether it's a girlfriend, a friend, whatever, it's always good to have somebody to talk to because you never know what other people are going through. Because I was going through it mentally, and that was a bad place for anybody to be in. Sometimes somebody may be on the edge, like you don't understand what you did for me, just talking, or just sometimes just listening to people. It makes all the difference to be able to have that, and that was one of the things that I take pride in, where I can call one of my sisters and like, hey, I got like this one day I just called, I'm bawling, crying. My sister on the phone, like, it's gonna be all right. Just dry them tears up. It's gonna be okay. Like I'm bawling. And I'm like, what if I didn't have this? Where would I be? Back at the point to where I'm just want to just walk away from all this and be free. So again, like you say, just being in good spirit, just being in good health mentally, getting the help that you need, being free, accepting things for what they are, accepting you for who you are, and just I mean, you can't dwell on it. You have to get past it. You have to grow, but you have to also learn from it too.
And forgiveness. That's what I was going to talk about was forgiveness. Like, we say it all the time. Forgiveness is absolutely not for the other person. Forgiveness is for you. And I always say, you don't want to forget. Like people say, I want to forget about it. I don't want to think about it because if I think about it, it's going to make me angry. No, you need to remember enough so that you never get yourself back into that situation again. So we can't just forget everything, but we do need to forgive so that we can heal. And when you truly forgive, you can, like, it no longer has a hold over you. And so we got to
Yes,
learn how to release those things. Now, it, like I said, it happened. We cannot go back and change the past or what happened to any of us at any point. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord. So we're not going to even worry about trying to get back at nobody. We just going to continue to live the way we live happier, freer lives ourselves. And that's going to start with forgiveness. So that's my assignment for everybody tonight, is if you're holding on to anything, is that you will learn how to forgive. Sometimes you may even want to go to that person and maybe you like, because it's not about an apology. You may need to get an
exactly.
apology from somebody for what they did to you.
I forgive you from afar. I forgive you. I just don't, I tolerate you and I deal with you under my terms. I don't have to be around you. I don't have to deal with you. I forgave you. I don't forget. Let me put that out there. I
Hmm.
don't forget. Some things will get triggered, but I forgive you, but I forgive you from afar. I forgive you over there. I forgive you, like, hey, and bye, and that's it. But I don't have to deal with you because, again, I forgave you. Just let it be. And you don't have to keep trying to talk to me, pressure me like we good. Like I said, we good. That was we good to give me peace.
And yeah,
And
because that other person may still be trying, to come and still apologize. You don't have, all you got to do is tell me sorry one time. You don't got to keep,
that's it.
and I either choose to continue to deal with you or I don't, because you telling me you're sorry does not mean that we're mending a relationship. It's you apologize and now you go your way and I'll go mine. So it doesn't mean we're making up because you said that you're sorry. Listen, we're about to run out of time. That was so, so, so good. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
I
And it
am.
just felt free. I was like, whew, they go another layer. It's like, it feels so good.
Listen,
So,
listen, and that's how I'm gonna end it tonight. One more time, and then we're gonna go over some a little bit of business. But one more time tonight, I just want to talk to everybody about my goal and my word for the year, and that is, those are values and those are purpose. Remember that in every relationship in your life, you want to be able to add some value to that relationship, and you want to have whoever you are with adding some value to you. If there is no value in that relationship, it is a waste of your time. Value is the word. And then we have purpose. Everybody was designed with a purpose. You got to know that your purpose was not meant for you. Your purpose was meant to serve someone else. So for me, and it seems like for Trisha, our purpose is going to be in serving through transparency. Trauma I've had to go through throughout my lifetime, and it's been a lot, got me to where I am. It made me the person I am, but I am not my trauma. I am not my past. I don't have to hide anymore under the name Iha de Jimenez. I'm now Trish and Iha. We're all one person, because I had to realize that all of the stuff that I went through that I was running from made me who I am today. And it gave me the right to be able to sit in front of you today to pour into you guys and encourage you guys that life can be so much better when you let go of your past, and when you deal with all your past and your trauma, when you forgive, and when you start to work in your purpose by serving other people. All right. So, Tech, what we got on flyers? Let's see what we got coming up. Don't leave, you guys, because I got some good news, something to show you. I think it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Trisha, did you want to add anything while he's pulling up the flyers?
oh no, I just, like I said, I enjoyed the opportunity to be able to come on and share some things with everybody. It feels so good to be able to do that. And just the support I get from everybody, like every day, like the messages, the texts from family, from friends, like it just feels so good to be able to be loved in every capacity. So again, being able to forget, move on, and just live your best life. Like life is short. Like holding on to grudges, just let it go. Just live. Be free, be happy, because tomorrow's just definitely not promised.
That's right. And as long as we're here, we want to live happier. All right. So June 17th, you will see on the screen our third annual Women's Derby Tea and Fashion Show. Listen, it's going to be lit. Okay. It's going to be a party. We're going to start off as usual, where we have some motivational speaking, some inspiration, some singing. We're going to encourage each other. We're going to worship a little. But as always, halfway in between, we break out like a little breakout session. We go and mingle a little bit more. And then we go turn. And we have a fashion show. We have three of our fashion show. Our boutiques are coming back from last year. We are in communications with some other boutiques. So hopefully we'll have at least 6 to 7 boutiques this year for our fashion show. And it's on a Saturday night instead of a Sunday night. So we get to party a little while longer after the fashion show. So you got to go ahead and get your tickets because we do intend to sell out of this event just like we have every other event. And I get bored real quick. So I don't want to be selling tickets for 3 or 4 months. I need y'all to go ahead and sell this event out so we can have a good time and get this out the way. What else we got? Tickets are available online at www.healthasisterout.com. And if you have any problems with the website, let me know and I can help you get booked for the event. Tables are online. Tickets are $75 per person or $750 per table. As always, it is a charity event. And those donations will benefit our 2023 initiatives, including our scholarship program. All right. We are collaborating with Biz Photography. Listen, everybody needs a headshot. Like you need to just be always sitting on ready. When opportunity calls, whether it's, hey, Trish, you want to come to the podcast? And you was ready. You had your full body, nice shot. So I want everybody to have one of those. So Biz has agreed to have a photo blitz, a headshot blitz right here at the studio on February 26th, 11 to 7. So also online at www.healthasisterout.com. You can go on there and book your headshots for that event. You'll get 2 nice, pretty edits, and you get all of your raw images. So it is well worth the $75, and a portion of that also benefits the scholarship program. And then, did you get the last one? Okay. Last, I'm going to show you our flyer for our next podcast. We will not, next week is Valentine's Day. So we're going to take the week off. But I am so happy to share with you our guests for that podcast, which are going to be Taisha Davis, which is my niece, and my bonus daughter, Tashina Wesley. And then we have Twanetta Cooley, who is a nurse practitioner who specializes in cardiology. Not sure if you guys are familiar with postpartum cardiomyopathy, but it is a condition almost like heart failure where our younger African American women are experiencing this at higher numbers than anyone else. And so these two beautiful ladies both have suffered with this condition, and they're going to be here to talk to you guys tonight. We want you to be comfortable talking to your providers when you go in there. When you start feeling a certain way and they don't want to listen, we want you to know what to say. And so Twanetta is going to help us with that. So we'll see you back. And it's also going to be on a Monday because of Mardi Gras. So on a Wednesday. That particular show is going to be on Wednesday, February 22nd at 7 p.m. And that's our show on peripartum cardiomyopathy. That's a lot to say. Listen, thank you everybody for joining us. Trisha, thank you again for joining us because I know it's later there than it is here. Tell Sherman I said thank you for letting us borrow you tonight. I'm going to go home and grab my glass because I see you're already enjoying yours.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody need a podcast studio, holla at DJ Tech at how you say it? Tex Equipment Rental at 3700 Government Boulevard, Suite F. That's it.
All right.
You guys be blessed. Thank you. I love y'all. God bless
you. Y'all. Bye.
Good night.